Hello, my name is Marian. I'm from the blog Miss Mustard Seed.
And I'm Kriste. I'm from the blog Rosemary and Thyme.
And this is Design Ramblings, where we talk about anything and all things design related. And today, on a whim, I just announced and decided that we're going to talk about working with vintage textiles. And Kriste made a face.
Yep. No idea what I'm going to say, so.
Well, I mean, have you ever bought old linens and
Yeah.
things? Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. Your experience.
Sure. I'm an expert.
So what have you bought?
Well, I like to do little, like tea towels and stuff, and I'll
Yeah.
actually use them in my kitchen, or my mom and I have made tons of pillows and stuff over the years with.
Okay, so you've done both, like buying and using them, and then also buying them to repurpose.
Right.
Okay, so you have more. You didn't need to make a face. You have more experience than you thought. So what do you look for when you're like? Is it something that you've actually gone out to hunt for, or do you just sort of trip across it and think like, oh, I really like this, and then buy it?
I mean, usually I just trip across it.
Okay.
When I was planning my wedding, we did a ton with vintage lace and vintage doilies. So, like, whew, I must have had bags and people would, like, bring me stuff. It was like, you know.
Because you can find those for so cheap. Because
cheap.
nobody we don't use doilies anymore.
Right.
And, I don't know.
Yes.
Those, like, dresser scarves and laced shelf liner. Like, most people just don't do that anymore.
Yeah. So that process was more like, if you build it, they will come. Like, if you say you're going to need it, they will bring it to you. Like, so I had tons and tons of stuff. But I have a lot of memories from being out with my mom in little antique shops and just being really taken by, little lace pieces, or I loved handkerchiefs, and I loved wearing gloves when I was little,
Oh, no.
Was that person.
Well, and that isn't the hat that you wore. Was that a vintage
It
piece
is.
for your wedding?
Mm-hmm.
That was really beautiful. I'm always drawn to vintage textiles, and I've gotten to the point where that's really what I like to work with more than anything else. I like to, look on Etsy, troll around on there for fabric remnants, and I love going to, when I go to antique stores, and there's there's always like
She's like a magnet.
there's always like the linen lady, she's got all these pillowcases pressed. It's like that lady loves ironing and starching because, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But you can actually get great box lots of linens like at auctions and stuff. So I'm sure that's what they do, and then they press them and clean them up and everything to be able to sell them.
Like estate sales. I found some really great, vintage tablecloths. They're just beautiful, and it's cheaper than if I went to like Target and bought a new one with really modern print. I love tag sales and estate sales.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I like how you talked about actually using the pieces. Yeah. I think when I first started buying them, I felt like, you keep them folded up in a closet. Like you open the closet, oh, look at all my beautiful vintage linens.
So nice.
And then you close it so they stay all starched and ironed and folded. Yeah.
Nah.
But then I got to the point where I'm like, well, dang it, I'm going to use
I bought
these.
it. It's mine.
So I actually, like, for my pillowcase is a vintage pillowcase, or probably antique. They're really old, but they're starting to get little holes in it from all the washing, and because I actually use them all the time, and so I'm like stitching up little holes. I need to learn how to darn or something. I don't know. I just sort of, I'll do the little put it together and stitch it
together and
like a little mouth, or patch, like put a patch behind it. But I think I'm gonna have to maybe remake them. But they're these super long pillowcases, and I've never seen any like that. So modern pillowcases, I use a feather pillow, and it'll like start to pop out of the regular pillowcase. So these are really long, and then you have this beautiful ruffled edge that sort of hangs off the end. So, but I love the feel of old linen. I just think you can't get that, even in really high quality sheets. You just don't get that.
I agree.
So I love that feel, and I love using vintage linens for upholstery as well. And so I think one way that I approached buying linens is, because sometimes they're like crusty or stained or just musty maybe. Some of them have never been washed, so they have their original start. You hold them up and it's like just stands on end. So The way I started approaching them is I'm going to buy it and throw it straight in the wash. And if it doesn't wash, it's not going to be something I can use. So for a long time, I've sort of learned now what I can wash, so that's what I buy. And then if I know, like, it's just going to fall apart in the washer, then I won't buy it. Because if you can't wash it, you can't use it.
Yeah.
And if you can't use it, then, unless I can see some things that you would frame.
Sure.
That kind of thing.
I'm just such a big proponent for using what you buy and not being afraid to use it. I mean, if you have, I have this china set that my mom got me for Christmas one year that a painter I love did a set, and she got me, these plates, and for a couple of years it was like, no one touched them, like, they're sitting up on my top cabinet, like, don't use them, but I use them all the time now, and I love them, and that's,
Yeah.
If you love something, you should definitely use it. So if you see something, some kind of beautiful linen that you're just automatically drawn to, figure out a way to use it, if you can, in your home.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about repurposing things. I know some people have real issue with cutting into old linens. They just feel like it's, it hurts them too. They're cutting into it. They're just like, oh. But, and I think their point is, like, we're not going to have any grain sacks left ever because everybody's buying all the grain sacks and cutting them up for upholstery or pillows or whatever. But I don't know. Like, I'm not going to use it as a grain sack. Like, I don't have grain to put in it, and I don't need to transport grain anywhere. So, like, why not reuse it in a way that's going to be, functional and look great in your home? And so I wouldn't feel bad about doing that, repurposing it so it's something you can actually use. Because if you can't use it, then again, like you said, what's the point? It's just
it just sits
stuff
there
in your house. So I have show and tell.
Aww.
We went shopping this week, and I found these pillowcases. These are actually like pillow covers. You know what I mean?
Lay them
Where
over.
you just lay them over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think because things were dirtier, so they would do that. I don't know. But it's got some holes in it, and it's got some stains.
So pretty. But
it has this beautiful, like, ruching and the ruffling, and that's what I really love. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to turn it into, since my antique pillowcases are starting to get holes in them, I'm going to use this as an edge, and then use some other antique linen to make a couple long pillowcases.
See, and that, I feel like when you repurpose something like that, you're giving it new life. I mean, otherwise, this would probably just sit in someone's closet somewhere and never see the light of day.
Right, like, what would we use this for? I also look for petticoats. I love...
Obsessed.
Yes. Every booth, I'm like, there's a petticoat, digging through them. Because I think the ruffled bottom of them are so pretty for pillow, and so I've used them for, like, bolster pillows and for pillowcases and things like that. Mostly pillowcases. But, and the fabric is just so, it's just beautiful fabric.
It's like delicate and just, it's so pretty. We love petticoats and also like little kids' nightgowns.
Oh yeah.
Those are the best.
Yeah, and
they're so pretty.
The like the christening gowns and stuff. Although those I just keep as is and hang them up somewhere or something. I have a few christening gowns, and I also love quilts. And I think quilts kind of went out of style for a little while. Like,
I have tons of them.
But, like, I feel like people weren't buying them for a while. And I know I've talked to other antique dealers about that they're like, I just can't sell a quilt to save my life. But I think maybe I'm just liking them again. But I do think that they're kind of coming back. I think the prices did drop a bit, so that's great. So now I've been able to find beautiful old quilts for about $100 a piece.
Yeah.
And with just amazing detailed stitching. I, of course, look for blue and white quilts or just all white quilts. And, but I don't mind if there are holes or patches or it's a little worn.
It gives a character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I look for, is things that are well loved. Now, those I don't throw right in the washer. We use them, but We don't, like, my son's dropped some Jello on one of them, so there's like a red spot. I'm like, well, let's just use the other side. I'll probably spot clean that or something. But I kind of leave those as is, or I would hand wash them. I'd be a little bit more delicate with those,
right.
Maybe line dry or something. But I would encourage you, if you haven't, like, gone into the world of, you know, vintage and antique linens, there's just a lot of great stuff out there, and a lot of great fabrics that can be repurposed into other things. I know a ton of people do that, but I think some people might be a little intimidated by it. Hopefully you'll give them a try. I think that they're a lot of fun. They add character to your home, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's just something so special about pieces that were pre-loved by someone else. And the handkerchief thing, that was kind of something that I loved when I was a kid. So for my bridal shower, my mom actually went out and got all these beautiful vintage handkerchiefs, and that was the gift for everyone at the shower. They all got these little, you know, there were some colored ones, some lacy ones, and everyone was just so, like, touched that it was, you know, something just really beautiful and special. And there's just a weight that I think comes with things that were, you know.
I agree. Yeah, it has a little soul.
Yeah.
One petticoat that I bought actually has the woman's name written in it and a year, like, handwritten in it, and I'm just like,
I love that.
So I know, like, whose undergarments I'm turning into my sink skirt in my bathroom. Thanks for liking and commenting this video, and we'll see you next time. Yeah. So anyway, stay tuned for more. Did I just say stay tuned?
Stay tuned. Right here. You're loud. You'll be great.
Yeah, that's right. Who can talk for a while and doesn't mind have a camera pointed in their face? Like, me?
Channel 7.
Don't touch that dial. Oh,
pull it in.
Okay.
All right.
Stay tuned.
After these messages.
I can't believe I said that. Stay tuned.